In this video, we're going to talk about creating groups and some of the other non-destructive things you can do in Photoshop that may be helpful. So we have three layers right now: a background layer, our landscape, and our spaceman who has an attached layer mask masking out his background. So we can move the spaceman around with the move tool, that's V on the keyboard, or this top tool right here. We can move our landscape around, and we can transform both of those. What if we want to transform them together? So for example, if I find a good placement for each of these elements, so I move my landscape like this, and let's say I transform my spaceman like this, and man, I really like how these two work. Let's say I want to scale all of this up or all of this down, or I want to make a modification to all of it. Or even I just want to stay organized because I'm going to start getting more and more layers in here. I want to use what are called groups in Photoshop. Now groups can be created in the bottom right hand corner of your screen on the Layers tab, and it's this little folder. Whenever I click this folder, it makes a group. I can double click the name of the group to name it, so I'll just call this group. And it has a little caret next to it. Whenever I click the caret and it's pointing down, see how the folder's open. If I click it, it closes, the folder's closed. So there's nothing in this group right now. I can drag layers into a group. I need to reorder those. Notice that they're slightly tabbed in now, so my background is not in the group. These two are in the group, and they stick together. What this means is I can now select this group layer, and it'll move everything in the group at once. Likewise, if I have the group selected and I transform it, it's going to transform them as one unit. So this is different than before, where I could select each individually. This allows me to actually transform both of them as one group unit. Groups are extremely useful and widely used in Photoshop. It's very common to toss all of your elements in one group that you can then move around easily. So for instance, let's say I had multiple parts to my spaceman. I might toss all of those in one group. You can have groups within groups. You can color code them and just stay organized with them. But more importantly, they're used to kind of keep things together, to move things around. If I lock a group, it's going to lock every layer within that group. If I hide a group, it's going to hide every layer within that group. This is really useful. Let's talk about how we duplicate layers. So we can select a layer and actually make a copy of it by either hitting Control or Command J. That'll copy a layer, and it names the new layer Spaceman Copy. I usually like to change this to something more relevant. So again, that was just selecting a layer and doing Command J. I can also find that in the Layer menu, Layer, Duplicate Layer will create another copy of that layer.